The general public usually knows debus as a scary and sadistic attraction. This is because the players slashed themselves with machetes, chewed shards of glass or glass, even plunged into balls of fire, but there were no injuries to any part of their bodies. Debus itself is a traditional art found in Banten province which displays the human immune system using various sharp objects. The word debus itself comes from Arabic, which means sharp weapon. In the debus attraction, there is not only a show about immunity, but there are also dance and sound arts as well as magical nuances of mysticism. However, it turns out that this debus was also a medium used by local clerics to spread Islam in ancient times. To be able to master the science of debusing, a person must have high commitment and confidence in practicing. Debus art itself began in the 16th century, namely during the reign of Maulana Hasanuddin from Banten, 1532 to 1570. Debus began to be known to the people of Banten as one of the ways of spreading Islam by Nuruddin Raniri, who is a Muslim figure from Tariqat al-Rifa'iyah who showed strength by injuring himself while reading prayers from the Holy Quran in an effort to ask for salvation. Then during the reign of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, 1651 to 1692, debus was used as a medium to pump up the enthusiasm of the people of Banten in facing Dutch colonialism. The art of debus had disappeared along with the weakening of the Banten Sultanate under the rule of Sultan Rafiuddin. Then in the 1960s the art of debus reappeared and has become a means of entertainment to this day. There are also those who say that debus comes from an area in the Middle East, namely Al-Madad, which has several similarities. However, currently there are not as many members of the Al-Madad arts group as there are members of the debus arts group. If you hear debus, it is definitely synonymous with silat. This is because the art of debus is being revived and developed again in Paguran, Padapokan, silat studios. However, not every Paguran, Hermitage, silat studio works on the art of debus. Debus itself is a certain stage in the activity of silat. Every debus player is definitely a silat, but not all fighters are debus players. Every hermitage or martial arts studio must be based on a particular martial arts school. Currently, there are at least 3 silat styles that are quite large in the Banten area, namely the Samande, Bandrong and Reef Streams. This style of silat colors the characteristics of the art of debus owned by silat studios. Usually, debus players can recognize the characteristics of debus Samande, debus Bandrong or debus Reef. A debus studio is usually led by a professor or sheikh who supervises around 20 debus performers, including attraction performers and nayaga musicians. In the attraction itself, to attract the attention of the audience, the person performing the debus attraction will use several pieces of equipment which can also support the attraction, such as performers' clothing, art equipment and their own debus action equipment. When performing the debus attraction, players will usually wear typical debus clothing.
The clothing of the debus players consists of a lamar or headband, kampret shirt and pangsi trousers.
Apart from wearing these clothes, the debus players also use artistic equipment. There are 2 types of artistic equipment used to accompany debus performances, namely
drums, terampet, kanko or gong, kemprang drums, gedor drums, and kulantar.
Patingtung artistic equipment used to accompany debus Reef and debus Bandrong consists of 1 large drum, 2 small drums, a small gong, a grilled gong, made from a drum filled with water and placed on the top with a long piece of iron with a convex shape, kenuk, ankab, kekarik, and terampet. Some are also a combination of penka drums and tambourines. Then debus equipment. Usually the equipment used is adapted to the type of debus that will be displayed, such as broken glass, burning embers, sharp weapons, wire or needles, hard water, and many others. And when it comes to the types of attractions, debus are very numerous. However, there are several types of attractions that are usually shown, such as piercing the stomach with a spear or other sharp weapon without getting hurt, slicing parts of the body with a knife, machete or other sharp weapon, inserting a needle or wire into the tongue, cheek, or other part of the body without bleeding, etc. Usually debus is performed as a complement to traditional ceremonies or community entertainment. This performance should ideally be held in an open field so that players can freely carry out their attractions. Before starting the performance, the sheikh or professor will perform a special ritual which aims to ask God for help so that the debus performance can run smoothly. Then the players also prepare and check the equipment and performance arena. And the following is the sequence of debus arts events in general. 1. The show begins with the opening, bubble. Usually prayers or chants of praise to the Prophet Muhammad will be recited, dhikr to Allah, and accompanied by percussion instruments for 30 minutes. The goal is to be safe during the dust show. 2. Baluk event. The Baluk event is an event involving the chanting of dhikr songs in a loud, shrill voice, shouting to the accompaniment of drums. 3. Pencak silat game. After the dhikr and makapat are finished, the next event is a pencak silat game which will be played by 1 or 2 players without using sharp weapons. However, it is combined with dance, sound and mystical arts with magical nuances. 4. Debus attraction. After the pencak silat game is finished, it is then continued by demonstrating the debus attraction according to the wishes of the debus player. 5. Closing event, gemrun. After completing the series of attractions, it will end with a game of drumming musical instruments. The value of cooperation will radiate from the efforts of the debus players. They come together to work together so they can present their best to the audience. Apart from that, the hard work required to be able to play debus can also be seen from the efforts of those who always practice continuously while following certain requirements and restrictions so that their debus skills are perfect. The religious value is reflected in the debus attraction. This is because of the prayers offered by the players. These prayers are read with the aim that the debus players will always be protected and receive safety from Allah during the debus attraction. Things to do so that debus players don't get injured. When performing body cutting using a sharp weapon or stabbing a sharp weapon in the area of the neck, stomach, hands, arms and thighs, the person performing the debus will chant spells to make his body immune from sharp weapons. However, if a debus player experiences an accident or is injured during the attraction, then a sheikh will heal him by rubbing the injured body part along with reciting a mantra, then the wound will heal instantly. In the debus attraction, there is a mixture of Indonesian traditions, both Islamic and local traditions. The readings sung in the series of attractions are Arabic readings from Islamic traditions and also readings in Javanese and Sundanese. And in the practice of debus there is the term jangjawakan, namely readings that are believed to have extraordinary power if practiced seriously and followed by all the provisions. And according to language, jangjawakan is different from wirid, which uses Arabic. Janjawakan usually use Javanese or Sundanese. This is what makes it often incomprehensible even to the people who practice it. And in every game the art of debus is accompanied by traditional music called waditra. This music has a function as a game attraction. The music played is also adjusted to the attractions that are taking place at that time. Music players usually number 5 people or can be adjusted to the musical instruments used in the performance. The musical instruments used are usually traditional Banten musical instruments.